All right, Corey, thank you for joining us. We'll start with questions here. First up, Michael DeCourcy.
Yes, Corey, could you explain to us what it feels like to lose the last game after winning all the others and coming that close to winning the national championship?
Yeah, kind of forget. You really do forget what it's like to lose. And every time it happens, it doesn't feel good. And thankfully, I've had, not very many of them over my career, whether it's in the regular season or in the tournament. But I mean, when you come up against a team like that who's just firing on all cylinders for 40 minutes, it's really hard to compete with. So, yeah, you kind of forget, and it doesn't feel good. And I'm going to remember this for a long time.
Jim Meehan.
Hey, Corey, Jim from the Spokesman Review. They hit you guys with a pretty hard flurry there early on. What do you think went into that? They were clearly the aggressor and probably a little quicker on the feet. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, that's how you got to play the game, especially in this kind of a place. In this environment, the more aggressive team gets more calls. The more aggressive team makes more threes. The more aggressive team gets more rebounds. And they punch us in the mouth right at the get-go. And took a long time for us to kind of recover and start playing them even again. And by then it was too late.
Isabel Gonzalez.
Hey, Corey. During that last huddle after the game, it looked like Drew Timme was telling you guys something. He was just talking to the entire team. Can you share with us what he was saying?
Yeah. He told us that he loved us, and he wouldn't change a single thing. He loved playing with this team. He loved fighting with us every day. And he wouldn't want to do it with a different group of guys. And Drew's been so authentic with us over the year that it was really nice to hear that from him. We all know the kind of special group that this was, and the kind of ending that we thought we deserved. And Drew's been at the point of that. So coming out of his mouth was was really special.
Jeff Ferrato.
Yeah, Corey, Jeff Ferrato with the West Coast Conference. You talked about what Drew's comments were to you. How do you encapsulate, the season that you guys had, and what will you take away from it after you get past the disappointment of tonight?
The word that comes to my mind is grateful. I'm so grateful for, being able to wear this name on my chest, and so grateful to all the people who made this season happen, in Spokane. And I'm grateful to our guys to, for sticking with it through the very end. And a lot of the days weren't easy. There were a lot of really tough ones. But I'm looking back, and this has been by far the most special, 6 months of my life. And, I'm just so thankful that it turned out the way it did, just from top to bottom. I had so much fun. And like Drew said, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Keith Oso.
Hey, Corey, Keith Oso, KXOY. You've had a long, great career at Gonzaga. How do you want people to remember you as a Zag?
I just want people to remember how much I cared, about the red and blue. Being a Zag is much more than just the 40 minutes you put into the time you spend on the floor. It means, being a great person off the floor. It means being a great son, a brother, a great friend. And, I want people to remember me for being able to do all those things as good or better than I played on the floor. And I'm hoping that, little kids out there look at our team and look at me and, realize that they can kind of make it and do it the right way too.
Pete Thamel.
Corey, Pete Thamel from Yahoo here. Certainly, I don't think tonight unfolds much differently if you were undefeated or you weren't undefeated. But I'm just wondering if you can reflect back on and maybe how you may view the collective weight of that as this season has gone on. Do you think that impacted this team at all as the year wore on?
No, I mean, as Coach Few said, he said it a million times that we never really talked about it, and that's the truth. By the time that we got to this tournament, every team in it wants to go undefeated. So didn't really cross our minds. And like you said, us being undefeated or us, having lost 8 games, it wouldn't have mattered.
Edwin Duodo.
Hey, Corey, Edwin here from Nuts and Bolts Sports. Congratulations on a phenomenal season. Corey, your team has been a dominant force all season long. It was a rare sight going into halftime for your team being down by 10 points. What was the message that coach gave to your team going into the second half?
I mean, he was really positive about the last 10 minutes that we put together. We were +9, I think, in the last 10 minutes of that first half, and we're doing some really good things. We finally started rebounding and turned them over a little bit. We're finding Drew and Anton on our pick and rolls and stuff like that, and finding things that work. And the message was just kind of keep stringing those things together and keep sticking to our plan and kind of shave that lead down as the second half went on. And again, Baylor came out and punched us in the mouth in the second half too, and the credit goes to them for doing that.
Joe McHale.
Hey, Corey, Joe McHale, KHQ SWX. Obviously, once the dust settles for this, it's looking ahead toward, playing at the next level. But I want to know, what are you going to do immediately next when you're able to? I know you've been seeing your family for a while. What does the next couple of weeks for Corey Kispert look like?
Yeah, see my family, see my friends, and get away from basketball for 2 weeks and rest. I think more than any year, this year has been an emotionally exhausting one, even more than physically exhausting. So my body feels fine. I don't really have, any injuries this year, but no matter how often you hoop or, at what level you hoop, you got to take time off. You got to take it away and recover mentally. And this year was a grind for us. And so the next 2 weeks looks, like a lot of relaxing and a lot of decompressing.
All right, we'll go 2 more. Melinda Adams.
Corey, I'm just curious, could you kind of describe what it's like to play in a game like this when the opposing team is so aggressive and things are, clicking so well for them? For you guys, what is that experience kind of like? How does it feel different than maybe some of the other games you've been in?
Yeah, I mean, they're just not letting you do the things you normally do. And, I'm so used to kind of, if that happens, we, take that punch and, move on and kind of get on with the game and, just and fight back really a lot quicker than we did. I'm kind of used to that reaction time being a little quicker, and they did a great job of slowing that up, and obviously their numbers from the field made it really hard for us to claw back in.
All right, last one, Danny Thompson.
Corey, Danny Thompson with the 3-point conversion, outstanding season, outstanding career. As you take a look at it, the entire season, what have you learned most about yourself? What have you learned about the coaches and learned about your teammates dealing with circumstances like COVID and what you guys had to go through, literally, like you said, for the last 6 to 7 months?
That's a great question. There can be a lot of good that comes out of a bad situation. If you kind of trace it back to, March 6th or whatever last year when the whole thing canceled, felt like there's a lot of bad things that could have, derailed me and derailed us. But, in life and in basketball, joy doesn't come without a little bit of suffering. You can't have one or the other. And it's about kind of dealing with those, painful moments in your life and finding joy in those. And that's where, real happiness comes from. And I'm so thankful for the way that the team handled adversity and handled suffering all year long. And, I'm definitely a better person because of, playing this year under the circumstances that we did. taking punch after punch, I guess, from the world. And, this team stood strong all the way through.
All right. Thank you for your time, Corey.